It's held on the steep, winding King Lake circuit, 168 kilometres of tough Australian road. Tough enough to cause many of our top cyclists to come to grief, as we're about to find out.
46 of Australia's top amateur and professional cyclists competed in this year's Mountain Classic held on the gruelling King Lake mountain circuit. The 168-kilometre race included 80 kilometres of steep ascents along winding roads, which have over the years helped earn the Classic the reputation of being one of Australia's toughest cycling events. The competitors had to complete 11 laps of the 15-kilometre circuit. During the race, there were 4 special King of the Mountain stages, which were uphill sprints for the leading riders. The first King of the Mountain stage was held at the end of the 3rd lap and was contested by Phillips, Sansonetti and Boswell.
And there's the riders coming into view in the Preston Open. 3 riders in the leading bunch. The referee's car just following behind the 3 riders. One of the Preston riders leading the field as they come through in the red and white colours. That's Rowan Phillips. Then with the big professional rider.
Just behind the leaders was Terry Hammond setting the pace for the main pack of riders. Hammond had trouble with his bike during the first lap and had consequently dropped back through the field. He was now desperate to make up ground on the leaders, who in turn were determined to maintain their advantage. At the bottom of the 8-kilometre hill climb in the 4th lap, Boswell, Phillips and Sansonetti was still in front, and young Tim Jamieson from Tasmania had moved into 4th place at the head of the main pack. The tough course began to take its toll early, and by the 5th lap, more than 6 riders had dropped out of the race, including early pace-setter Boswell, which meant Sansonetti and Phillips, who were still out in front, were left to contest the 2nd King of the Mountain stage.
Rowan Phillips at the front position, the triathlon athlete and top road cyclist. Maurice Sansonetti won the Victorian Professional Road Championship last year. There they are away in the Preston Open.
There are 2 riders right out in the lead at the moment. They've got a 1.5-minute break over the rest, and we're into lap 6. Do you think they'll maintain that lead?
Well, it's a big question mark. The 2 riders, Maurice Sansonetti, who is a former Victorian Professional Road Champion, and Rowan Phillips, who's not only a top cyclist in racing, but is a top triathlon athlete, both known to be the hard, gruelling type of riders. They may stay away together if they share their turns of pace. But the big question mark lies in that Peter Buzanko is the rider that's, as you noticed there before, is the aggressive rider that's serving up the pace. Now, he is the big threat to the bike race. He knows all about these sort of events, so he could change the position dramatically with his aggression.
And the bunch really finding it hard to stick the pace of Buzanko as he pedals furiously through to the top of the mountain.
Well, I think it'd be one of the toughest races in Australia. I know from previous winners, from last year's winners, Shane Sutton said it's the hardest race he's ever ridden. So it just gives you some idea when a rider of his class says something like that.
Rowan Phillips couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's got a bit hard for me. I went a bit early, saw a couple of points up along the way and thought I'd go for it. And they came through a bit fast the last time when they caught us, and I couldn't keep up the pace and I got shook at the top. And obviously I've done my dash, I think, at this stage.
Coming up to the 3rd King of the Mountain sprint at the end of the 7th lap, Peter Buzanko was just in front of the main group.
Australian champion Buzanko in the red leading through, and he's definitely Mr. Aggression of the Mountain Classic here today. And as the riders go through, 9 is the rider sitting there in 2nd wheel, and of course that's Bill Stevens of New South Wales.
Stuart, just how demanding is the Mountain Classic on the riders?
Well, I think it's quite unique, John, that because of the pressure of the harshness of the climb of the mountain really tests the cyclist out. And it's an unusual breed that would be successful in this type of race. Normally cyclists wouldn't have conditions such as this, so this is what makes this race so unusual.
By the 9th lap, more than half the competitors had withdrawn from the race. Peter Buzanko was still out in the lead, with Bill Stevens from New South Wales and Tim Jamieson from Tasmania. During the 4th and final King of the Mountain sprint, Bezzecco managed to hold off a challenge from Stevens and Jamieson and went on to win that stage, as well as the overall title of 1984 King of the Mountain.
So number 9, and we come
By the end of the race, there were only 13 of the original 46 competitors still riding. With only a lap to go, Peter Bezzecco was struck with bad luck when his bike developed a puncture. This left Stevens and Jamieson to battle it out for the Mountain Classic title.
13 left in the bike race. The police escort coming through looking for the yellow colours of Brian Stevens. There's the Tasmanian cyclist. He's got away there. Brett Uden is in second place, but it's the Tasmanian Tim Jamieson, 19 years of age, who'll take out the Mountain Classic. Tim Jamieson crossing the line. Brett Uden coming through, the Blackburn cyclist, an amateur, crossing the line to take second placing.
It was probably the hardest one for me this year, as I haven't ridden 100 miles, sort of raced 100 miles this year, and I thought probably the hardest one for me this year so far. What made it hard was about 4 laps to go, and there's only 3 of us away. And one of the professionals, Peter Bezzecco, really gave me a hard time, but unfortunately for him, he punched it. So a bit of bad luck for him, and so for Brian Stevens too, he paced really hard and done a lot of work. And